Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. This article comes to you guys from Mike over at Light Reading. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys could check it out. So let's backtrack a little. So from the very beginning, AT&T has been playing the long game, but the long game for AT&T came with a lot of hope. AT&T didn't go all out in the C-band auction, so they were already hoping that they would be successful in the 3.45 or otherwise known as DoD auction, which they were. They were successful, but even that auction, after the fact that they purchased what they purchased, it still came with hope. They have to hope that they can get early clearance to buy more than the 40 megahertz of 3.45 that they did, right? So they're in the process of that now, and that's what's in this article. AT&T pursues Insight's 3.45 spectrum in 5G catch-up strategy, right? So they can get that. Also, I will throw this in here briefly. EchoStar, Dish, EchoStar, whatever you want to call it, they received a stern warning from the FCC that the spectrum holdings that they're sitting on that are not being deployed will be put up for auction. They received a stern warning. It was about 3 hours ago. I saw that on Bloomberg. So we'll have to see what happens with that situation. There could be some more 3.45 that Dish owns that AT&T could also get. But there's that hope again. They have to hope that the FCC can grant them the waiver to own more than 40 megahertz of DoD. So a lot of their catch-up strategy, as Mike calls it over at Live Reading, right, or the long-term game, as I called it, it comes with a lot of hope, right? Will it work in AT&T's favor? Remains to be seen. We certainly hope that it does. So more spectrum is better in the market. And this definitely, once they get more of the 3.45, I'm going to assume that AT&T is going to want the entire slice, right? Whoever owns it, AT&T is going to want it. They already have the radios deployed at scale, so they're going to want it because it's a simple switch. It's a simple, as we call it, a flip of a switch, but it's a little bit more complex than that. But it's easier. The radio's already deployed. So they're going to want all of the 3.45 that's out there. And what is that going to lead to, and what are the results of that? More FWA. They're going to open up FWA to more houses. It's really right. It's really simple. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. So that's AT&T's next big priority is 3.45. I know 4.9 is also in the pipeline for first responders, and consumers will have access to that. But we all know that 4.9 is tied up in the court system. So who knows what happens with that? And if it does come out that AT&T gets to keep 4.9, it's going to take a while for them to deploy that, right? 3.45, they can scale the radio quicker, which they're doing, right? In the Nokia markets, the sites that are being converted to Ericsson, they're getting the C-band DoD treatment. So they're gradually scaling that 3.45 radio. And once they get all of the spectrum that's out there, right, and they're going to buy it, right? They want to buy it all. They want more spectrum. And eventually with that strategy, they could possibly end up with more spectrum than, say, Verizon with the longer term strategy. Right? Verizon did not compete in the DoD spectrum auction because they hadn't deployed any. They bought a lot of contiguous C-band, over 50 billion, spent even more to deploy it early. So that's what Verizon was focused on. And now they got CBRS that they're also deploying, which is, still unlicensed in many parts, but they're deploying it, right? So that's more capacity for them. AT&T on the other end, they're focused on this 3.45. The C-band, there isn't much else out there for them to get. Right, it's little, it's far and few in between. It's regional in many cases, so they're kind of done with C-band. Whatever you have in your market is what you're gonna have. Right, it's 80 megahertz contiguous, and then like Dallas has 100 megahertz, but that's the exception, not the rule. Right, that's the big exception is Dallas where they have 100 megahertz, but that DoD. To close out the video, that DoD, they can definitely expand on that bandwidth and own quite a bit. And potentially, if they can buy up all of the 3.45 that's out there, they could end up with more of that bandwidth than what they own today in C-band. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.